Hi, hey, and g'day, and welcome to all the guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Come along with me as I tank and pug my way to a timed +15 Nogood Offensive, or as I like to call it, Nogood Offensive. As with all keys, you get a 10-second ready up timer. And as you can see in the Nogood Offensive, we're already on our mounts, as dragon riding is a very important aspect of Nogood Offensive. In this key, we decided to go to the Storm boss first. And as you can see, I'm also using the ride along feature. That tiny whelpling is actually me. To fight the Storm boss, you need to clear 4 packs around the boss, which are protecting a totem. These packs can be quite deadly the higher you push, so a kick rotation is strongly recommended. The totem should always die first. When they do die, they leave a puddle of lightning that you should not stand in, so kicks are required to move the mobs out of it. Other things you need to look out for is the Arcing Strike from Primalist Arc Blades. This is a miniature tank buster. Storm Bolts is a general single target DPS cast. Surge is when the Squall elementals are blowing up. Tempest is a general group wide damage that is kickable. And the Totemic Overload, which is why you target the totems first, it's group wide damage. You want to rinse and repeat this 4 times. And as a squishier tank, for example a Paladin, you want to go in with at least 1 defensive up, so that the initial hits don't KO you before your healer can top you up. Once all 4 groups are defeated, for safety, you should always grab the Thunder Beast that patrols around the middle close to the boss, as it's not uncommon to accidentally proximity pull it mid-fight, which significantly increases the chances of wiping. Just want to make sure you keep Thunderstrike kicked to ensure this is a relatively simple tank and spank group. Once they're defeated and your healer has full mana, you're ready to fight the Raging Tempest. I strongly recommend using Lost on Pull to maximize your last usage throughout this dungeon. Not to mention, it's easily one of the harder bosses in dungeons in Dragonflight. The things to watch out for include Lightning Strike. This deals nature damage to all players within 15 yards. Make sure you aren't on top of another player with this. It also destroys any uncontrollable energy orbs within it, so you should always try and grab those before the effect ends, otherwise you miss the buff they offer. Windburst deals 100% weapon damage to its current target if it leaves melee range. Basically, if you're a tank, just never leave melee range and this isn't even an issue. The Raging Tempest. The boss passively inflicts damage to anyone that steps inside the dark swirl at its feet. Again, don't be inside the boss and you're fine. Energy Surge. The boss buffs itself, increasing its attack speed by 100% and damage done. This can and should be purged off immediately. Electrical Storm. Once the boss reaches 100% energy, it emits unavoidable AoE damage and is very tough to heal through, so use strong defensives or immunities to help your healer. The more uncontrollable energy orbs you collect, the more buffed you are, the slower the boss gets to 100% energy. And that's it. The dragon boss, Granyth, can be fought once you have cleared the trash packs of the 3 ballistas, but you should kill the large pack that roams on the outskirts, as well as the pack in the middle. Doing this will help with percentage count and safety. Then start with the packs on the ballistas. You want to make sure you avoid War Stomp and AoE stun, and stop Rally the Clan from being cast, as it's a buff to the entire pack. Try and tank the melee mobs on the Archer Centaur for efficiency, as a lot of abilities cannot be kicked with these groups. As you clear, being careful not to pull 2 packs at once, make sure you're clearing the ballista packs. As soon as the last of these 3 dies, Granyth lands, and the fight is ready to begin. Granyth is a super simple fight with very few but important mechanics. Shards of Stone does light group-wide damage to players within 60 yards, effectively making it unavoidable. Tectonic Stomp does heavy damage within a 20-yard radius and a knockback, but is completely avoidable. Just run out of it. The Nokhud Saboteur is what's new about M+. These are adds that spawn throughout the fight that attempt to sabotage the ballistas. They must be stopped and can be stunned, slowed, disorientated, the works, but you need to kill them. Otherwise, they begin a cast on the ballista, and if it finishes that cast, the ballista cannot be fired, which would stop Granyth's eruption. This is almost a one-shot mechanic, which can only be stopped by firing a readied ballista at Granyth. This also stuns the boss and does 5% damage to it, so this is a high priority. And that's it. Avoid AoE damage, kill the ad, fire ballistas, and profit. Teera and Maruuk can be fought once you have cleared 4 of the ritual burial mounds of its trash. Kick any death bolt volleys you see, Watch out for Shatter Souls, collecting your soul ASAP if it's been ripped from you, which will prevent Harvest Soul from buffing the enemies. If Grasp of the Dead is cast on you, get a Tiger's Lust or Blessing of Freedom. Otherwise, you're rooted in place for 6 seconds. And kite mobs away from Chant of the Dead casts. This buffs any undead in its radius. Tanks need to be mindful of Heavy Slash, a tank buster, and Desecrating Roar must be stopped with stuns. Necrotic Eruptions are a ground splash effect. Just avoid being hit by those, and always kick any Dominate cast you see, as your teammate can be mind controlled for 6 seconds if it gets off. Be very spatially aware as well, as there are multiple patrols that roam quite close to the mounds, and it's very easy to butt pull those, making a rough pull into a downright scary and dangerous one. Once they've been cleared, you can head to Teera and Maruuk. Teera and Maruuk gain Ancestral Bond in Mythic Plus, which gives them 10% extra damage for every second they are more than 10 yards from one another, so tank them together at all times as best you can. This also helps DPS cleave them down faster. Teera, the Archer, casts Gale Arrow at 100%, dropping 4 tornadoes from each player that does moderate damage and a knockback if they hit you. Avoid being too close to one another when the cast ends. Repel is a knockback and Guardian Wind is a continuous pushback. Quick Shot deals damage to a target player. Spirit Leap is Teera's jump. She places a swirling purple pool on the ground before she jumps, and you don't take damage if you're in it when she lands, so you can pre-move to keep the bosses together. Maruuk, the Malay Centaur, casts Earth Splitter at 100 energy, causing eruptions in a line towards target players, which stick around and pulse damage and slow you in Mythic Plus. Frightful Roar is an AoE fear, just run out of the cast. And Brutalize is a tank buster, doing massive damage. And that's it. Keep them together, avoid tornadoes and earth splits, move out of fear bombs, and profit. When you head towards the final boss, Balakar Khan, you can approach from the south or the east. The south is a great entry if you don't need much percentage, as it offers easier and quicker access to the boss, with next to no trash on the way. And finally, we're at the last boss, Balakar Khan. Balakar has 2.5 phases. Phase 1, Intermission, and Phase 2. During Phase 1, Balakar will use Iron Spear. He throws his spear at a marked player, doing significant damage to them and anyone within 6 yards, which is immediately followed up with an Iron Stampede, so don't be between the boss and his spear. Dual Strike is a massive tank buster. Rending Strike will hit first, doing a significant amount of damage, applying a bleed and a debuff which empowers the second part of the tank buster, the Savage Strike. Once Balakar's health gets to 50%, the intermission phase begins, where Balakar is immune to damage and summons 4 casters to his side. Bring these together with kicks to cleave them down while avoiding the lightning strikes and resisting the storm winds, which damage and push you back. Once all 4 casters are dead, Balakar, now empowered, re-enters the fray and begins Phase 2. Static Spear not only targets and hurts a player, but also drags all players to its location when it lands. Move away instantly, as it is quickly followed up by Iron Stampede, the same one as Phase 1. Dual Strike is, again, a 2-part tank buster that works the same as Phase 1, but is now magic damage instead of physical. And Lightning, a ground effect that requires all players to be constantly moving to not get hit. And that's it. Don't be between the boss and the spear. Kick and cleave adds down. Always watch your feet for lightning. And profit. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you have any questions or queries, please let me know in the comments below.